That's the reality.
There's no quality in that side. Where's the absolute quality in that team?
Okay.
Donnarumma?
Well, we're talking about absolute quality. People are, I would say Donnarumma is, I mean, if we use as a benchmark of who's top 5 in their position on this team, I would say Donnarumma, I would say Romagnoli.
Theo Hernandez.
Without question.
Theo
certainly based on this season.
But you think about how much money has been spent. It's extraordinary.
I know,
yes,
but this is the thing.
Built.
This is what really bugs me when people bring up this argument about the money, right? Okay, so what do we want to do? What are we saying? We want to say that like 3 different sets of owners and 3 different sets of executives all made bad decisions?
Yeah.
Because that's what it is, right? The minute we turn it around and say, oh, they spent a ton of money, but they spent it badly, the implication is that these guys are rubbish at spending money. But it's all different people.
That's true.
And I think that's the most important thing to bear in mind here.
What's bothering me, I suppose, about this, it feels like specifically today, is I'm seeing again, and we'll see if it finally happens, this Zlatan incoming story. And it feels like, yes, okay, you're right, you can't blame the current ownership for the sins of previous ownerships, but they're still trying to do things piecemeal.
No. I can blame this current one because, I'm sorry, but it is them who decided to start with this philosophy in Marco Giampaolo and believe in children, to have the youngest squad in Serie A with no reference point or no experienced man in the middle who, when the chips are down, you can turn to and be like, hey, do you want to do something? Do you want to help us out over here? And I'm sorry, but I do think last season they were a good team. They were good under Gattuso. And the fact is, it's like, you know what? Is it really the Milan brand? Is Gattuso exciting enough for us?
It wasn't about Gattuso being exciting. I'm sorry, Mina. It was last season. The reason they changed it was because the football wasn't good, and Milan were exceptionally fortunate to come as close as they did. I mean, we can sit here. This is what I don't get.
So you think the football's better now, yeah?
But that's not the point.
When you have stuck with Gattuso, when you have maybe just offered a little bit of stability before you started changing stuff up, considering the team has been desperately falling apart for the last few years.
Fiorentina stuck with Montella for stability when they got
Montella's not Gattuso. Montella's been sacked by everyone.
You're right. Montella's far more experienced than
Gattuso. No,
and has achieved far more than Gattuso as a manager.
Really, last year he was sacked by Sevilla. He has not managed a single.
Managed more big clubs than
Gattuso
came
a step away from qualifying for the top 4. How is that the same thing?
Because they looked at it and they said, you know what? We were extremely, extremely, extremely lucky to have come so close to finishing top 4. And you can look at something and just look at results, or you can talk about how you got to those results. That is the conclusion that they reached, that they were extremely fortunate to find themselves in that position. And that is, and also I might add, they didn't sack Gattuso. Gattuso went to them and said, guys, this team sucks. I need 3 veterans, a veteran defender, a veteran midfielder, and a veteran striker.
And he was wrong?
Well, you know what? When Gattuso goes and is responsible for balancing the books and making sure that they can actually qualify for competitions when they have a European ban, then he can go and ask for whatever he wants. The reality is he went in there with the fact they said he wanted 3 top players and he wanted 3 veterans because Gattuso, like a lot of other Italian people, are obsessed that experience is super important and winning mentality and all this other stuff. That's what he wanted. And the team and the club said, we can't afford this right now. We cannot go and sign 3 players who are in their late 20s.
We can afford to bring Marco Giampaolo, then sack him and keep him on our payroll, change entire management because because we'll keep changing every year and then realizing that actually we screwed up once again. So let's go for Zlatan, pay him a ridiculous amount of money because he's a big guy. And so this was a much better strategy than maybe just sticking with stability, keeping Gattuso until things opened up and that they could build a team slowly. But no, let's tear it all up again because you know what, we were fortunate. So you think what they've done in the end ended up being a better plan?
Is that what I said?
Well, it sounds like it because you're like they were extremely fortunate, so you understand why they did what they did.
Look, I mean, I think we can all agree that Giampaolo was a mistake, and we've all said many times, certainly I have, that a big part of the reason why Giampaolo was a mistake was that he couldn't get his ideas across to the players, and he couldn't get his ideas. Hang on, let me finish, please. And he couldn't get his ideas across to the public, and people just saw this weirdo there, and he didn't get anybody excited. And his results were poor. Although weirdly, at this stage, technically, since results are all important, they're actually still slightly better than Pioli's. But but I think the fundamental point that was obviously a mistake. You could obviously look at some of the signings that they did, but the overall idea to realize that they were going nowhere with Gattuso, you know what? I would praise that. I wouldn't just automatically look at the table at the end of the season. It's this kind of short-sightedness, this kind of inability to look at actually performances. And no, performances doesn't mean philosophy and pretty football.
Yeah, no,
performances means, were we fortunate to be where we were? On top of that, you got a guy who says the only way I can take this team forward is if we go and we bring in veterans in these positions, which the club cannot do. And it's that. And when you talk about stability and change and the importance of stability and blaming them for changing too much, there were other people in charge who made decisions, who made really bad, damaging decisions, which this team will have to pay for a long time. The only major change that they made was the manager when they sacked Gianpaolo and they brought in Pioli. That was it.
And so there was no management decisions that were changed. And there was no, I mean, if we talk about performances, you want performances to be great for Gattuso when he had all the injuries that he had at the time, when he had all the problems that he had suffered. He didn't have a team that was cohesively and consistently available to him at all stages. So when they were reflecting on whether or not Gattuso had done a good job, isn't it also important to know, well, you know what, the guy hasn't had a full squad. Let's see what he can do. Does he need veteran experience? Is it ridiculous that a man would ask for that when they have the younger squad right now and all they keep talking about in all the meetings and press conferences is, yeah, it's a young squad, so we can't ask too much. Maybe the veteran experience would have been handy, right? Isn't that the reason why everyone's like, oh, Ribery's arriving at Fiorentina, he's made such a difference with his experience. Maybe the veteran experience that Gattuso asked for would have made a difference.
Maybe in a vacuum when it's 1995 and Silvio Berlusconi's in charge and you can spend as much money as you like and you don't have to go and balance books, then sure.
Sorry,
then
so
maybe in that
you
context,
think right now that Krunic and Rebic and all these people that they've brought in because, you know, it's good to invest in youth. These are the guys that are making the difference rather than maybe offer a little bit more stability and then slowly start to flourish.
Well, what does stability mean? Keep the people who were there last year?
Keep as much as you can and then start building a spine.
Who did they sell from last year? Since stability is so important, which players left from last year that you would have kept around this year and you think would have made a big difference?
No.
That's the point. You're talking about stability. You mean stability of players, right?
Stability is
stability
of management.
Is just Gattuso.
No, stability is stability of management first and foremost.
So maybe they could have kept Fassone too. Could have kept Fassone and Gattuso, and then they would have been sorted, yeah?
Well, I don't know. What do you think is better, this continuous change? I'm just asking you, honestly speaking.
It's not continuous change when
Boban comes in. So before it was Leonardo, then it was Leonardo, you know. Then
you realize that it's different people who have owned the club. This is the part I don't get.
Since last year to this year is the same, right?
No, it's not. No.
Who's owned it? Who employed who was the ownership under when Gattuso was manager?
They inherited Gattuso at the end. They inherited Gattuso, right?
And you decided to stick with him, so stick with him again.
What? So he can play more bad football? So he can get the team, so he can be in this situation. And by the way, and I go back to this, which you seem to continuously ignore, Gattuso quit. Okay? It's not...
Oh, come on. You know very well that he didn't quit and that he was pushed to quit. You'd think that guy would have deserted Milan.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.